Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a coin that we all know, but may not give much thought to, the 1-cent coin. It's small, it's often overlooked, and for many, it might seem like pocket change that isn't worth much. But did you know that the 1-cent coin has a fascinating history, a significant value in the economy, and holds a surprisingly big worth in circulation today? Stick around, because we're about to explore how this tiny coin has played a big role in shaping economies, and why it continues to be a subject of debate in modern times. The story of the 1-cent coin starts centuries ago. Coins as a form of currency can be traced back to around 600 BC in Lydia, now modern-day Turkey. These early coins were often used for trade and represented a smaller fraction of larger denominations, much like the modern 1-cent coin does today. But in the United States, the concept of a small, fractional coin really took shape in the 18th century. In 1793, after the creation of the U.S. Mint, the very first official 1-cent coin was minted. It was called the chain cent, and it was very different from the pennies we know today. Designed by the Mint's chief engraver, Henry Voigt, the chain cent featured a chain encircling the words United States of America. While it was meant to symbolize unity, the design didn't sit well with the public. It was soon replaced by the wreath cent, a more polished design with a wreath surrounding the denomination. This marked the first step in the evolution of the U.S. 1-cent coin. As time went on, the design of the 1-cent coin continued to evolve. In the early 19th century, the U.S. Mint introduced the Liberty Cap cent in 1809, followed by the braided hair cent in 1839. These designs featured Lady Liberty and reflected the changing artistic styles of the time. But it wasn't until 1859 that the 1-cent coin saw one of its most iconic changes: the introduction of the Indian head cent designed by James B. Longacre. This coin featured a profile of Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress. The coin was a major success, both in design and in usage, symbolizing strength and resilience during a tumultuous period in American history. The Indian head cent transitions into the Lincoln cent *. Then, in 1909, we saw the debut of the Lincoln cent, which would go on to become one of the most beloved and well-known coins in U.S. history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin featured a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than an allegorical figure. The reverse side initially featured 2 stalks of wheat, earning it the nickname wheat cent. The Lincoln cent has had several iterations over the years. In 1959, the reverse side was redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. And in 2010, a modern redesign was introduced, with the reverse featuring a Union shield. Despite these changes, the Lincoln cent has remained largely unchanged for over a century, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. Now, let's talk about the real value of the 1-cent coin. When we talk about the value of a penny, we're not just talking about its face value of 1 cent. We need to consider the impact of inflation, which has dramatically affected the purchasing power of the 1-cent coin over time. At the turn of the 20th century, a penny was worth something significant. For example, in 1900, a penny could buy a piece of candy, a bottle of soda, or even a newspaper. However, as inflation grew throughout the 20th century, the value of the penny began to erode. Today, that same penny can't even buy you a single piece of gum. In fact, the penny's purchasing power has been in steady decline. As of today, the cost of producing the 1-cent coin actually exceeds its face value, making it a financial burden on the U.S. Mint. In 2023, it costs around 1.8 cents to produce 1 penny. This has sparked debates about whether it's time to retire the 1-cent coin altogether. Despite its shrinking value, the penny continues to be produced at a loss. The U.S. Mint spends more money creating each 1-cent coin than it actually receives in return. This has led to a growing conversation about whether it's time to get rid of the penny. Some argue that eliminating the penny would save the U.S. Mint millions of dollars each year. Other countries, like Canada and Australia, have already phased out their 1-cent coins, citing the rising cost of production and the minimal impact on everyday transactions. However, others argue that the penny still has cultural and sentimental value, and that it's an essential part of the U.S. monetary system. Even though the penny's individual value is small, the total value of all the 1-cent coins in circulation is enormous. As of 2023, there are over 150 billion 1-cent coins in circulation in the United States alone. And when you multiply that by its face value of 1 cent, it adds up to an eye-popping $1.5 billion. In fact, the sheer number of pennies circulating around the country means that, combined, they represent a significant portion of total coinage in the U.S. While they may not have much purchasing power on an individual basis, their collective value is still substantial. Globally, the total number of 1-cent coins is even more staggering. Countries like Canada, the UK, and Australia still use small denominations similar to the 1-cent coin, contributing to a significant portion of global currency circulation.